Hey everyone. Hi. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Alison Rosen is your new best friend. I am very excited to bring in my guest in a moment, but first I must catch up with you. So as you know, my producer, Tony Thaxton, is back on tour. He was on tour and I complained a lot about how he abandoned me. And then he came back for like just a second, just long enough for it to be painful when he left again. But he's been posting photos about how like this is the last night on tour and blah, blah, blah. And, but he's like hanging out on the East Coast just to prolong his absence from the show. I think, I don't know. And I think he'll be back. I'm thinking, is this the last show without him? I don't know. I'm done counting that. I'm over him. You know what, Tony? I'm over you. I don't care anymore. I know that I start every show with my feelings about the fact that you're not here. But that's because I'm over you. If I really cared, I wouldn't want you to think that I cared. And I'd be pretending I don't. I'd be holding it in. So the fact that I'm talking about it is a sign of how much it doesn't matter to me. It's no big deal. I hope you're having fun. Anyway, big event happened in the studio today. I've been talking about termites, but a big event happened mosquito-wise today, and I don't want to do the thing I do where I keep my guest waiting for too long. So I'll just make it very, very fast. If you've been following up with all of my podcasts, Alison Rosen is your new best friend, Upworthy Weekly, lighthearted news podcast comes out on Saturdays, and Childish, you will know I've been terrorized by a mosquito or a group of mosquitoes. They all look kind of the same. I don't know if it's one or multiples. But there has been a singular mosquito just thriving in my studio, buzzing around my head, buzzing near the microphone. You know, while I'm doing a show, it has become a co-host of all the podcasts I'm on. I have become a person who has a fly swatter near me. It's like the flapping around while I'm doing the show. It's sort of funny and it's sort of pathetic. And anyway, today, it happened again, and Upworthy Weekly co-host Todd Perry said, still with the mosquito? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know if it's the same one. Anyway, while I was talking about a news story, the mosquito just dove into my coffee cup, and it had a lid on it too, so like a small opening. It's a daredevil mosquito, and ended its life, took its own life in my coffee during the show. So the problem solved itself. So, I don't know if this is because I've been listening to Abraham Hicks on YouTube, even though I don't know how I feel about it, but I might be manifesting good things, you guys. I might be in the vortex. Alison Rosen, Alison's your new best friend. Okay. My guest today is someone I'm very excited to talk about. And to talk to. I'm talking about her right now. I'm about to talk to her. She is a comedian, a writer, a filmmaker, and also, according to her, an atrocious cook. And we will get into all of that. She's also a TV writer. She was a head writer, and also a producer, I'm sure, of The Problem with Jon Stewart. And you know her best as the host of the very popular podcast, which I just had the pleasure of guesting on Celebrity Book Club with Chelsea Devantez. I don't know. Before we started, I said that I'm overthinking, even though I know how to pronounce her last name, I'm overthinking it. Please put your hands together for Chelsea Devantez. Oh my God, Devantez.
I do this all the time on my podcast. Like I've even gotten nerves over like good friends of mine.
Yeah.
You know, like June Diane Raphael just came on and I was like, June Diane. And I was like, Raphael? You know, and then
is it Raphael?
Well, see, there's the thing. Yeah. No, it's Alison, I don't know. That's my good friend. What if I fucked it up?
But I said your name correctly before we started,
to my face. Yeah, yeah.
And it's
a thing.
That's so weird. I even wrote the middle syllable in all caps, and then when I said it, I put the emphasis in the wrong place. Devantez.
Devantez. Yeah. Also,
and then I said,
it doesn't even matter. You killed it.
No, Devantez. Say it. And then I'm going to say it.
Chelsea Devantez.
Chelsea Devantez. Chelsea Fun. Anyway, welcome to the show. It's so nice to see you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to see you again after our big takedown of Elvis Presley through Priscilla Presley's memoir.
Oh my gosh, yes. So your podcast, Celebrity Book Club, do you only do female written memoirs?
I do. And, sometimes I sneak a dudes in there. And there was a time when I actually lined up like 5 of them. And and this is not a gendered thing. This is just the truth. Maybe how we commodify women's pain, but women's memoirs, they're just so much more open and detailed and specific and highs and lows. And every time I know there are some really great male memoirs out there, but the few that I've tried, I get a little bummed out, then I back out again. So I just feel like we really haven't told women's stories enough. So I mostly stick to women's stories. That being said, will I cover Matthew Perry's? Yes, I have to. Like there's exceptions to the rule.
Right. I feel like let's discuss Friends for a moment. Big Friends fan over here. I really like it.
It's classic.
But you know who else really likes it? Jax's wife. Do you watch Vanderpump Rules?
I have, yes.
Okay. Why am I
I'm
forgetting?
not cut up. I tapped out.
Brittany.
I did tap out.
Jax's wife, Brittany, who's
Yes, Brittany, the one with the cheese company, the beer cheese.
Oh, does she have a beer cheese company?
Well, I mean, she was supposed to. I don't know if it ever happened. But she was like, I'm making beer cheese.
Okay, I see. I think maybe I stopped watching before that. But I just like the most basic of basic. And I know you have a short film called Basic, which I laughed out loud so much at. So we have to talk about that in a moment. But I'm just saying, like, I like to think of myself as a connoisseur of fine humor. And yet I think Friends really cuts across all the strata. What do you think?
Sure.
Yeah. Can I respect myself even though I love Friends?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. As long as we can all acknowledge that Friends was stolen from Living Single, we can go forth and enjoy the stolen goods. No, Friends, it's of an era of something that we're like really missing right now, which is joke heavy half-hour comedies.
Yes.
And whether you liked Friends or not, filled with jokes. Top to bottom, joke. And they were like character-based jokes to the point that like they could get a laugh off of just like an attitude or an expression. And I think now some are coming back, but like it's been so long since we've had a half-hour, sitcom where on one page there's 7 jokes.
Right.
I feel like we're coming out of a phase where people are like, actually, it's like cooler to not have a joke, but like kind of half talk about something in a half interesting way and call it a comedy.
You know what I thought was very surprising is that The Bear was in the comedy category.
And you know what? It's only because it's a half an hour long.
Okay.
Because that is not a comedy in any way. It's the same way if I were to create an hour-long comedy that was just 2 episodes of Friends stitched back together, it would have to go into the drama category because of its time.
So it's just being pushed in that direction.
Yeah. Yeah, because the bear ain't bringing the laughs. That's not what the bear is bringing.
Recall my sides hurting when I watched The Bear.
It's not what they're even intending to do.
No. Although I did like it. A lot, but not in a not in a funny way.
They don't even want it to be funny. They're making a high art show.
Prestige. Yeah. So I came on your show. We talked about Elvis and Me, a book that I loved when I was 13 and which as an adult, I think, wow, that was highly problematic. And then there was, we talked a lot about, your thesis, which I think you should publish in like a scholar, you need to, you could get a PhD on like Elvis, a chode. He was
calling Elvis a chode.
Yeah.
Can I tell you? So I've been I'm going to knock on wood. I've been so blessed and lucky that my podcast really, it's not a hateful podcast. We do talk about these books. We do talk about what's in them, but it's not like, it's never coming from hate. And I got from our episode, my very first hate mail in 2 years. So, I went 2 years without someone. So a woman found my Instagram sent me a message and she was like, how dare you call Elvis a chode? You don't know him. And she was like, yeah, okay, yeah. He was grooming a child, but he was amazing. And then she found the little emoji of flippy where you're flipping the bird, and she sent it to me. And I was just like, wow. Like the Elvis Bayhive is strong. Elvis Hive, E-Hive. It's the E-Hive is strong.
E-Hive. Wow. Do you get the sense that she was older?
Yeah. Oh, well, of course I went to her Instagram, hung out there for a little bit. Yeah. I think she's going through some hard times. She doesn't have much going on, and Elvis is her boy.
Right.
And you know what? I get it. I love that she felt so passionate enough to stand up for him in such a strong way, despite the hour and a half of evidence, cited facts and sources that we said that proved she shouldn't.
I just love the vitriol matched with the term chode, you know?
Yeah, I know. Also, like, listen, he's not here anymore. It's okay to talk about what really happened and things that we ignored during the time. And you can love Elvis's music while also discussing honestly what happened between him and Priscilla.
I also felt like it was fairly benign what we were saying.
Extremely benign. I guess the fact that I was like, he's a chode.
Yeah.
And I made fun of Elvis doing karate. It hurt her feelings.
Right. I have it sounds to me like she was less upset that we were saying he was kind of a predator than like you were saying he was uncool and a bit of a dork.
She did not think he was a predator and thought we were overblowing the fact that
which he wasn't doing.
He wasn't overblowing her for sure. But yeah, so but little badge of honor.
Yeah,
I've made it. I got some hate mail.
Well, I'm sorry, and also you're welcome for being part of that whole thing. I don't know. And
absolutely.
Then can we also quickly just touch on another bit of hate mail that you posted that I witnessed, which I had a strong reaction to. You have been documenting your search for the perfect suite of wedding dresses.
Yeah.
And I have just been loving it so much. I got married in 2014. Daniel and I, my husband and I, didn't give ourselves enough time to plan our wedding. I look back on that and I think, why did we do that? I forget if I mentioned it on our episode. I think, why did we do that to ourselves? Like, why did we, I don't know. I can't remember if it was a budget thing or for whatever reason, we were like, this is the date we're getting married. It's 5 months away, even though that means I'm going to have to buy a dress like off the rack or what, like it just, it puts so much stress on the whole thing. Was like such a stressful process, but you seem to be having so much fun with it that it's like very sort of almost like therapeutic for me to watch how much fun you're having with the whole thing. But there was someone who did not appreciate it.
No. And it's been very therapeutic for me to do the whole thing, like, especially because my wedding dress search started when I was doing the prom with Jon Stewart, where we're delving into like economic policy that's like crushing our nation and climate activism and domestic violence and these things that really mean a lot to me. But as the show tries to find solutions, you run into the roadblocks to these solutions and they're so sad, and then I would go and try on wedding dresses to blow off steam. And so I just got so into it. And also I just truly am astonished at the prices of wedding dresses. Like it is so funny to me that some of these things are like $10,000. Like that's hilarious to me. So I loved posting them. I've had the best time, and it's so funny because, mostly on my Instagram, I talk about books and I talk about TV and film, and the wedding dress stuff, I would get just so many messages being like, please keep posting. Like, we want to see like more. I got all these messages. I would hold polls. I would be like, do you want me to stop talking about this? And people would like, keep talking about it. And then listen, I got the Elvis thing and I got this in the same week. And I was like, what's happening? This woman responded to one of my stories and she was like, why do you think anyone would care about what wedding dress you choose? My dress was super expensive and no one heard a word about it. Unfollow, good luck. I didn't even see that message until she never unfollowed me and then messaged me again when I was posting more wedding dresses. And she was like, oh my God, how embarrassing. Just choose one. And I think because it was the very first negative message I've got in a year of doing these things that I felt the need to share it. Maybe in case it did hurt my feelings a little. Like you're not impenetrable, you know? And I was like, oh God, I'm sorry. I thought this was like funny. And then I got so many amazing messages that I actually took it down because people.
Were they finding her?
No, I didn't allow that. But it's the wedding industry. And one of the reasons I do keep making jokes about it is like, one, I find it fun. And two, I think the reason weddings are not fun is because we've sort of taken all the like Christian Catholic guilt that originated with them and we're carrying it into 2022, which like, we don't got to do that anymore. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I found, and I don't want to make this about me and my wedding, so I'll just say this real fast.
No, tell me.
We had a wedding in Santa Barbara, so all of the vendors were from that area, and I kind of chose them quickly, and I think that I should have spent more time making sure that I liked. I mean, it wasn't quickly, but like I just didn't wait till I felt like, yes, I totally feel a connection with you, and this, you know, it just felt a little bit thrown together. And you know, at the last minute, like when I would have a question about something, I just remember getting an email from, I don't know if it was the wedding planner, who I have a lot of issues with, or someone who was like, you know, this is the time to trust your team, and blah, 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 blah. And it was very much like, I just felt like they were treating me like
a silly little bride.
Yes. Not me, a person who has a question about something that's actually legitimate. And hey, I'm not 17 years old. Like I've been on this earth for a long time. Like I know what's up. And also like I'm paying a lot of money and I have a right to have a change of heart about something with the wedding. And then also like at the last minute, I had like gotten into a fight with my mom and wanted to have it was a very small wedding and we weren't going to have a sweetheart table. And then I was like, you know what, maybe we should have a sweetheart table. It would not have been difficult to change where the table was. And so I asked if we could have that. And they said, no, it was too late. And I was like, I really don't think it was. It was
wild.
Like
That's
a lot of like at every turn at the end, I felt like they weren't treating it like it was my special day.
It is your most special, your most special, precious day that you're going to lose your virginity on. Yeah. I mean,
and then also, this is so stupid, but I cling to it. The makeup artist put the wrong color lipstick on me. And when I pointed it out, she said, "Oh, that ship has sailed, sister."
Oh my God.
Okay, but
if I could wipe lipstick off with the back of my hand.
I know.
Biatch.
It was
Allison, I'm sorry. I think stuff like that, but I do think that's built into this wedding industry, particularly because it is gendered as a female thing, even though often marriages are between a woman and a man, you know, and women and women, but like no matter, even if it's two gay men getting married, weddings have been gendered as a female thing. And the way they like mistreat people within it and gouge them. And I think it's so silly. And like everyone deserves to have like the wedding of their fucking dreams, whether that's no wedding at all, or in fact, a divorce party or a little fairy tale ending. And I think it's so silly how we treat it all.
And the thing is, they built like, I started out being like, I don't care about all of this. But then by the time the day comes, I've been like, it's been pumped into my head of like, it's my special day. It's my special day. I got all the flowers. You know what I mean?
It's like my special day.
Yeah. You know, and like all these tiny decisions, like I don't have a favorite flower, but I've been forced to choose one and I don't care about, you know what I mean? Like you start making all these decisions and you get invested. So then when these little things go wrong, it does suddenly feel like a calamity. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, totally. You're going to have a great wedding though. I can feel it.
That would change if we like spoke about weddings differently and like, you know, it just doesn't have to be that precious.
Yes.
And you know, whatever.
Yeah. How did you and your fiance meet?
We met because his best friend was a writer on the first Jon Stewart show I worked on. And he told Yassir, I've found the girl for you and she works here. And Yassir was like, oh my God, set us up on a date. And he was like, well, she has a boyfriend. He was like, well, then what the frick are you telling me about her for? And then months and months and months later, we had broken up. And then that's when Robbie, our friend, was like, you guys should meet.
I love that story. And I love that the best friend was like, I found the right girl for you, and that the best friend was correct.
He was correct. And it's so funny because he actually didn't even, when I broke up with my boyfriend at the time, he went to Yassir and he was like, hey, that girl is single. But he didn't come to me. Mm-hmm. He didn't like try and overly match make it. Like, it was so artfully done. And I can't believe he was right. Like, he was just so very right. It's hilarious.
What do you think has he told you what it was that he saw in both of you that like made him know you guys were right for each other?
Only in the broad strokes. I think the fact that I was so loud and opinionated was actually something that I think Yassir had wanted. And I think he and I are very it's funny, we're so dissimilar in that, like, if I had to perform his stand-up set, I would bomb, and if he had to perform mine, he would bond, and we would never write the same joke in our lives. So like, we're very different in many ways like that, but we're very similar at our core. And I imagine Robbie read into that. I mean, we're both little like fiery little maniacs.
So your fiance is Yassir. Yassir.
Yassir.
I have lost my ability to know how to pronounce all words. It's just by the end, no one will understand me. Yassir Lester. Right? Oh my God.
Yeah. Yassir.
Questioning
Yassir
everything. Actor.
We're having a meltdown.
Totally. Actor, comedian. Also makes hats and clothing. I follow him on Instagram.
Yeah. He has this so he has this production entity called Model Boys, and like twice a year he and his brother will release like 50 hats in conjunction with hood hats. And they're always super cute, and
Okay. And you guys were in New York but moved out here somewhat recently, yes?
Yeah, so we met while I was working in New York City. He was working in LA. Then he moved to New York with me. Then he had to move back to LA. We went long distance. Then I moved to LA. Then we were in LA for a long time. Then when I got the head writing position, we moved back to New York together. We were there for 8 months. Now we're back in LA.
Got it. So where are you from originally? Excuse me. And what was your upbringing like?
I grew up in almost every state in the Southwest. We moved around a lot. So I won't name them all because it gets long, but like Utah, and then Nevada, and really all of them. And we ended in New Mexico. So I did 2 years of high school in New Mexico, and my mom still lives there now with my stepdad. And they've been in the same house now for like 20 years.
Oh, wow.
So I always consider New Mexico home, only because there's no other place to call home. Like, there's no home if it's not New Mexico, and that's where they are now. And it's the place I love the most in the world. And it's the place where life got really good for us. And so I think of it with such love, and I always love going back. I wish I could claim New Mexican, but I just love it, and it's where home is.
I have only spent a few days there when I was 12, when we drove across the country. But I'm very curious about it. I feel like people have this deep connection to New Mexico, and it's like mystical and spiritual. Is that your connection to it at all? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, the state is it's so interesting because it has such a beautiful spiritual energy that you really don't find in any other states. At the same time, like, New Mexico goes back and forth between number 50 and number 49 in education. It's like number 49, number 50 in opportunity. And so it's a really varied state with what's happening within it. But the people in New Mexico, they just exude something very special about them. And I think that's what leads the whole state to have this like beautiful energy to it. Even though there also is like a lot of struggle in the state. But I waitressed there for like many years, and I just always, it just feels like it kind of like opens up your heart to like creativity when you're there, because there's not much else. Do you know what I mean? Like I was like 21 and on my 21st birthday, it'd be like, let's go out. And like, you can go to a bar in New Mexico and not see a single soul under 40 for hours.
Wow.
And we went and had my bachelorette party there. And like, it was us and then just like a ton of people over 60. And we were just like dancing and going nuts. But like, it doesn't really have like a vibrant 20s to 40s scene in Santa Fe.
That sounds like so much fun now, but as a kid, it doesn't sound that much fun.
No. And, my little brother actually was much younger when we were living there. And like, he was like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. But I really needed a break from intense life things when I was there. And so it just felt like a really nice break.
Why did you need a break?
How dark does your podcast get?
Oh, I mean, if you're cool with getting dark, we can get dark. If you would rather stay light, we can stay light.
No, I went through some really, really, really intense things in high school that are beyond the level of normal intense. Like it's like you can make a little Lifetime movie about it. Like it was pretty intense. And so that was my first high school. And then I moved to go to a second high school in New Mexico. And so the state always just feels like relief to me.
I mean, we do talk about dark things.
It is too dark, I promise you. But I did an episode about it on my podcast.
Okay,
But if you're ever interested, you can go listen to it. It's the Ask Me Anything episode. But it's also hard. It's hard when, when you've gone through something like really difficult to sort of, I've really tried to be open about it in recent years because it's domestic violence. And I did a whole episode on The Problem with Jon Stewart about it. And so I've really pushed myself to get to a place where I can really talk about it because one, it's healing for me to not hide from it, but also because if I had been, I was 15 and 16 at the time. And I think if the right thing had come to me that I could have recognized myself in, maybe it could have helped me. And so I'm just trying now to use the resources I have to talk about it. But it is really, it takes a big mental toll to like go back to things like that.
Yeah, totally. How did you get into performing?
My mom tells me that when I was 3 years old, I saw a commercial on at the deli and I said, how do I get in that box? And how do I get in that box called TV? And she was like, well, you would need an agent. And I was like,
She said that to a 3-year-old?
Ring one up. Yeah.
I love that.
I mean, this is I don't have a memory of this, but she was like, I was like, how do I do that? She's like, you become an actor. How do I become an actor? You need an agent. And I was like, yeah, call him up then, Mom. Like, let's get on it. And she probably rightfully so, but I do think she missed out on millions of dollars. Thought that, it would ruin me, like, Hollywood ruins child actors. And so I've apparently been wanting to do this forever. And I think, as a girl in the early aughts in a small town, I didn't really think anything was possible except for becoming like Julia Roberts in My Best Friend's Wedding. Like that was the most comedic, crazy gal I could see on TV, And so I wanted to do that. I did, we did not have TV, but I remember someone describing an SNL sketch to me and I've now seen it. It's the Will Ferrell one, where they're like, Tostito, burrito, what's coming out of your Speedo? And so this friend described it to me and I rewrote the words to it, to be about our school. And then I performed the sketch I'd never seen at like our school assembly. And so I always, had this in me. And then I think after high school, it sort of felt like it was the only thing that made me feel better was to like write and perform. And so it was very easy to choose to do so.
Mm-hmm. You didn't have TV?
No. We often had the physical TV with no cable connector. Like we didn't have the channels and we had a VCR. So there's one year where I saw Return of the Jedi every day of my goddamn life because my older brother it's just on loop. You know what I mean? And then, no, we did not have TV. It's funny because I fully remember it as a poverty thing, but my mom will now say, she's like, that was my choice because TV was bad for you. And I was like, okay. And then just like coincidentally, we couldn't pay our bills. So, but yeah, so I didn't have it I think there were like tiny pockets and And I saw some TV at friends' houses.
Mm-hmm. So do you think it was a choice, though, also?
I don't know. Is my mom going to listen to this episode?
I don't know. Does she, I mean, I do think she's a big fan of mine, but
I do think she is too. She, it's so interesting how you and your parents, especially if you've gone through hard things, the lenses with which you can both see the same experience. I do think, my mom is a big hippie, really into new age cultures. I think she totally has that value, but no, I think we were really struggling.
Mm-hmm. I know that when I was on your show, I forget specifically what I was talking about, but I was saying that something about being a late bloomer and feeling like maybe my parents had like been overly protective with me. And you were saying that you would kind of have the opposite experience.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So my mom was in some really abusive marriages, and she was also married when we talked about this on the Priscilla Presley episode. She was married when she was 14.
Wow.
Very young. And so I sort of, in response to that, sort of became the little adult, and then I think because life got so hard and so many things happened, and also I was presenting as this person who maybe had it more together than anyone else in the household. I lived alone when I was like 15 for large chunks of time.
Jeez.
And so, and at the time, I don't think I would have seen it as I can find journal entries where I can see that it's like very hard for me, but I just, I was like, I know what's up more than anyone, and I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I often look back and wish I'd not been allowed to do a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish I'd had a lot more structure. But maybe if, again, like we talked about on the episode, like maybe if I'd had a ton of structure, I'd be sitting here wishing for the opposite.
Right. So the problem with Jon Stewart, am I remembering correctly that there was like a big search for head writer?
No. So Jon called me, just called me and asked me to do it when the show was first asked. There was a big search for the writers because he and I changed the hiring process in a ways I'm very, very proud of. And then because what we did was so wild, it started to go viral.
Right.
And so then people were, they weren't sure why so many people had this packet. Mm-hmm. So that's why it starts going viral. Everyone's tweeting like, every fucking person in the world got the Jon Stewart packet. And at first, people seemed like upset, like, oh, here we go again. We're all going to do this packet that no one's going to read. But in reality, I had been sending it around to everyone I knew in comedy. And I said, pass it to everyone. And you have to self-submit. Your agent and your manager cannot apply for you, so that everyone without representation knew that their packet was wanted and welcome and was going to be read. And then we made it only a single page long, so that no matter how many submissions came in, we could take in all of them. So, which is often why there are barriers to the hiring process, where it's like, you don't have the capacity to take it all in. And so, we also did several other things that I was hoping to sort of break open the door for hiring, and 2,400 packets came in.
Oh my gosh.
We read them all blind, so no information was on it. And I read every single one of them. And then we narrowed it down to, it was like 30 or 40 who were then asked to do a much, much harder packet. That was also, again, read blind. And then 7 writers were hired who were just the best out of all of them. And, like 5 of them didn't have representation, which they were so talented and had been working for so long. It really says something about agents and managers that they hadn't found them. Yeah. Because those are the best writers in the country. So it was really cool to be able to open up that hiring process. But when it was going on, I mean, that packet was posted on Reddit. Mm-hmm. It was posted on Twitter. We got submissions from Bermuda. We got submissions from Iceland. Like, everyone put in a packet.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember hearing about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you end up hiring anyone from Bermuda or Iceland or other countries?
We did not, but no, they didn't make it. But we did. What I always found funny, I was like, oh my gosh, there's like only 7 writers, and there's someone from the Southwest, the South, the Northwest, the Midwest, East Coast. Like we had just like all kinds of just people came from everywhere. It was just like all of America was like in that room.
Yeah. And so what was your television writing journey like? When did you start doing that?
So I was on stage performing at the Second City doing their main stage after doing a cruise ship for them and touring and all this stuff.
Wait,
so
you were on sorry, we got to go back to the cruise ship, please.
Yeah. Yeah. I was, my very, very first job where like I quit waitressing, I quit working at undisclosed coupon company, and I fully made my living as a comedian. That first liftoff was being hired to perform on a cruise ship, which I always say is the most amazing thing I'd never, ever, ever do again. Oh my God. It's like just being like trapped on a mall and going in circles for months as you improvise comedy. But I got to tell you, maritime law, that shit rolls. Wine was $1. Beers were 25 cents. Like that's how I spent most of those 4 months.
So 4 months on a cruise ship doing comedy.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
Then I got hired to go perform a city show, which is where you go to a city and you write a bunch of jokes about the city and, perform that. Then from there, I got hired to understudy their touring company. Then I got on the touring company where you like get in a van and just go to the shittiest locations you could ever imagine and stay in the bloodiest, grossest hotels and perform your comedy show at night.
Was that super fun though?
Yeah, parts of it were really fun. I think I had I was so set on making a life I could be proud of and not having money ruin my life forever, because that was like a big theme of growing up, that I was always working. I was working every second we were backstage when there was a break. Like I never kind of let up. So I do think I missed some of the joy of touring because I was just always pushing.
Like working on what?
More. Scripts, always scripts. I was always like producing short films or web series, and like when you don't have any money and you're producing it, you're on the road. Like, I was everything from like editor to producer to holding the boom myself as I stood in frame. So, a lot of that, and then just a lot of like writing samples to become a TV writer later in life.
I'm so as someone who battles just sheer laziness, I'm so impressed with your work ethic. My God.
Thank you. But also I'm sure, it doesn't always come from a healthy place, so that's what I've learned now that I got money, which gives you a therapist. And so once I got a therapist, I was able to see like, oh, some of this is coming from a bad place, but it's always brought me a lot of joy and comfort. So it's never been, work has always been just the safest place in my life. So I've always liked it.
But like, where did you learn how to write scripts and how to hold a boom and all that stuff? Had you studied that in school, or had you taken classes, or et cetera?
So I went to, it's hard. I don't want to give it any credit because I think the reason like I went to NYU to School of the Arts because I thought that's what you had to do to become an artist. And I studied, acting at Playwrights Horizons, which also kind of just gave you a little taste of everything. But I didn't really, none of that was really relevant. Like in the year I was in school, I think it was like 2009, and they were like, you need a black and white headshot and a color headshot. It's like, I'm sorry, what?
Here's your diploma.
Yeah, so I was like, So when I really, really got the education that I use in my current life was when I moved to Chicago, where rent was really, really cheap. And I just started taking every single class I could find at the same time. And that's really where I got my skill set that I use now. And then when it came to when we first wanted to do a web series, we were just like, how do you do that? And the internet taught me everything I know. So in our first web series, there's a picture of me holding this like shitty Canon camera in one hand, and it's plugged into the wall. And in my left hand is the camera manual. And that's how I did the first one. And the way I learned to edit that web series was like this 12-year-old on YouTube was like, all right, so here's how you, and I had gotten this like free unlocked version of Final Cut Pro. And so this like 12-year-old taught me how to edit. And so I think from there too, just reading actual scripts and like, there's a lot of like PDFs linked online of like every pilot, every movie, almost everything you can find it these days. And I just read thousands.
So
I just read it all.
Being motivated and teaching yourself, basically, from what you could find online.
Yeah. And I think like anytime someone comes out to me and they're like, I want to go to NYU too. I'm like, first, look at some other options.
Yeah.
Look at some options where you don't take out $1 million in loans.
So you went to NYU for 1 year?
No. I went for 3 years and then I transferred in credits and left as soon as I could.
Oh, got it. Okay. So, all right. So then you went to, and so then what was your first TV writing job?
My very first TV writing job was writing for Jon Stewart. So I was performing at the Second City, and a packet came around for a kind of unnamed show. And the packet was actually he was trying to do something really new and exciting. So it was a very different packet. It was like a little odd. And I put in that packet, and Jon himself literally read it. And which is like, you never think anyone's reading your packet. So I always love sharing that story. I mean, like he had been retired for a year, and he was like, yeah, let me hire my new show. So he read it. And then I got hired. I like quit the show, moved my whole life in 2 weeks. They were like, we're starting right now. Like, you got to go now. So I moved there. And then I was the only writer he had hired. And so then all the writers came on later, but I had this like really great month of like brainstorming the show and like learning with Jon. And he gave me my very first break.
Which show was that?
It never came out.
Oh.
We worked on it for a year, and then it was self-canceled, which was, the right call. We were doing something like really technologically cool, and the technology just really wasn't there. It wasn't ready. And so, I mean, when we did the show as if it was going live every night for a year. And then that went away. And then I went and worked on another late night show in New York.
Wait, you did it as if you were practicing it, or you were actually filming it?
Yeah, we were like, it had this like live animation component to it. We were pitching, writing the scripts. We were filming the animation. I was putting on these like technological suits and like acting out all the female characters. And I was going through animation. Then I was like cutting it and editing it. And then, we would see every day where we got at 7:00.
Mm-hmm. Was that a bummer when it didn't happen?
It was a really bummer to leave Jon and leave the writers, but it was very clear that the show wasn't
ready.
The technology just wasn't there yet.
Yeah. When you were first hired by him and you moved your whole life there, was that like, oh my God, like what did that feel like?
I mean, best day of my fucking life.
Yeah.
My best friend Ashley Nicole Lack was working on Sam B, and she'd already been on there for like a year. And so I'm in New York City, and she got us these $80 all you can drink wristbands to an NSYNC cover band warehouse concert.
Oh my God.
And I had no money. So $80 like really took me out. And so I was like, I am getting my money's worth. Like I was like, I got to make this $80 work. I guess we're having 100 gin and tonics tonight. And so, oh my God, we were just like drinking and like going nuts. I got so drunk. I threw away my wallet and my phone. I threw up in her elevator, took off all my clothes, and crawled into her bed naked.
Oh, no.
But like, yeah, I was just like, it's kind of an unbelievable, it's an unbelievable moment. It's an unbelievable moment when something comes true like that. And I just never thought I was going to. It's tough. You know inside who you are, but you never think it's going to happen, Had
you done a lot of packets before that?
Yeah, I had. I had probably done like 10 or 12.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So
I'd gotten really far in them too. Like I'd made it to final rounds and stuff before, and then something would inevitably like not work out. And,
right. Just hearing that story, I felt such excitement for you. So then you left, and what late night show did you go to?
I went and worked on The Opposition with Jordan Klepper.
Oh yeah.
And then I left from that. I moved to LA. I said, it's time to make the kind of art I've always wanted to make. I'm never writing in late night again. Then I needed rent. Wrote on another late night show. I wrote on The Gong Show with Mike Myers. And then after that, I slowly started to break into like narrative scripted writing.
Which is that the kind of art you want to make?
I really want, I mean, I also love film, as you know, like from my short film. But I really want to make like very joke forward comedy. that has the women I know in my life in it. And I have themes that are like very important to me from growing up that I've just not really seen on TV before. And I hope I get to like tell some of these stories I really want to tell.
Okay. Let's talk about Basic, because I love it so much. Tell people about it.
Okay. Thank you so much. Basic is a short film I made. That is so short. It is 3 minutes long. And I just made it for myself because I had been making things to sell and to do all these things with, and I hadn't made something for myself in a really long time. And the idea hit me. And so I made it with my friend Kevin Walsh and his wife Kelly Riley and my best friend Kenzie Siebert. So it was a crew of 4, and that was it. It was just 4 of us. And we made this film in a day, and I thought it was so great. And so then I was like, what now? And I put it into festivals. It ended up going to South by Southwest, which was huge. It went up online on Amazon Prime, and people started reaching out to me. And then now it's being developed, and it's a feature film that I wrote. It has a production company attached to it, has some like great actors attached, and it's like trying to find its way.
Oh, wow. So how?
I know, because when you see the short film, you're like, in what world is that a feature?
Right.
Like, it's impossible. I know. And, but it is, and it's like my favorite thing. And if I don't get to make it, I think I'm going to run through a plate of glass.
Well, good, because plate glass can absorb a person running through it, right?
I hope so.
I think you'll be fine.
Let us pray.
Yeah, plate glass. That's the whole deal with plate glass, is like a person will be okay if they run through it. Because does it go in little bits, or I don't know. Somehow the glass doesn't hurt you if you go through it. I think. Don't listen to me.
I'm ready. I'll try it. Yeah. I'll let you know. I'll report back.
My question is, so wait, you have not written it yet, though. You want to write it.
Yeah, I have.
You've written the whole thing. Okay.
Yeah,
so then how does the, like a whole movie, so it uses the characters that you see in the 3-minute movie? Question mark?
Yes. But there is, I wish I could tell it to you, but then it'd be the most boring podcast, but also it ever gets made. I've just spoiled the whole movie. But there's a really, really beautiful story behind it. And it's also like very joke heavy. And people kept asking me, when you have a short film, like go to a festival and do well, people are always like, what's the feature version? And at first I was like, dudes, nothing. I have 1,000 other scripts for you, but like not this.
Yeah.
And then there's just these moments where like you get these strikes of lightning. And I was at a dinner actually with my agent Anna and my manager Jordan, and we were just going all in on the wine. And I'm so fortunate to have these like really like young, cool women, who are just like, don't feel like reps. Like they're just like really cool, creative, awesome women. And all of a sudden this whole feature film just like sat in my brain. And I was like, oh my God. And just had to like run out of the dinner. And then, yeah.
Okay, let's take a quick break. And then when we come back, we need to just talk a little bit more about Basic. I want to tell you guys about Storyworth. You've probably heard me talk about Storyworth before. I am a huge fan of Storyworth. Storyworth is a wonderful gift to give to a relative, someone you love. Give it to yourself. They never talk about that. They never say, hey, give Storyworth to yourself. I don't think it's done as much. I gave it to my dad. So here's the deal with Storyworth. It is a service that sends a story prompt to the recipient. So take my dad, for example. My dad loves to tell stories. I've heard his stories over and over. I thought I knew everything there was to know about my dad. But I want to collect these stories. My dad's older. I want to have them. I want to be able to remember them. I want to be able to pass them down to my kids and stuff. So anyway, I give him Storyworth. Every week he receives a story prompt. He sends in his response, or you can also call it in. And then after a year, they collect all of the stories and they put them in a beautiful hardbound book. And you have a book of stories from your loved one, and it makes a wonderful gift. But here's the thing. I thought I knew everything there was to know about my dad because, like I said, same stories. over and over. I learned so much stuff. I learned odd jobs that he had as a kid that I never knew about. I learned about his relationships with relatives that I hadn't heard about. I learned about his experience learning to drive. He grew up in New York. When he learned to drive, you had to be 18, not 16. I learned about the car that he learned to drive on, just stuff that I'd never thought to ask him, that it just hadn't come up. And it was fascinating. So it really surfaces story. I think that's a trendy word now. It uncovers stories about your loved one that you might not know about. And it just makes for a great gift. Every time I've talked about it on the show and people have bought it for their loved ones, the feedback I get is, what an amazing gift. So I'm telling you, it's a good gift. It's a great gift. Get to know your loved ones better and preserve those special moments forever with Storyworth. Right now, for a limited time, you can save $10 on your first purchase when you go to storyworth.com/bestfriend. That's Storyworth, STORYWORTH.com/bestfriend to save $10 on your first purchase. Storyworth.com/bestfriend. Okay, we're back. So, because I don't, you're being very cryptic. I don't know the movie. I can't wait to see it. It has to get made. But the short.
How boring would it be if I told you a movie plotline?
But
your
the short
listeners would be like, we hate your guest.
No, they are going to love you. The short, we can talk about what the short's about, though, right?
Sure. Oh my gosh, of course.
So it's a woman in bed, just scrolling through and looking at this other beautiful woman and all the stuff she's doing, like just making fun of her and everything. It's just being the pettiest person that everyone can relate to. Like, oh, you're so basic. Oh, you're buying groceries. Oh, you're doing this. Oh, you're doing that. And it turns out that it's like the guy she's with, it's his ex-girlfriend that he had dated for like 3 months or something. But it's so fucking relatable. Is this something that you battle?
Yeah. It's something I used to battle, actually. And making the short film was like very, very healing. So, I mean, the setup of the movie is you think it's someone looking at the girl who stole your boyfriend.
Yes.
And the big twist and reveal that hopefully is done comedically is that he's in bed next to her and she's looking back in the past and getting just as mad, even though this is not something that affects her. And, yeah, the whole film came to me because someone that my fiance had gone on two dates with 7 years ago, deep liked a tweet of mine, like a year old tweet of mine. And I was like, what is this? Then I went to her feed and just like a fucking Homeland murder board. I'm looking at everything she's ever put online. I'm like, oh my God, she's kind of funny. She was like, this hair conditioner is good. I order it. I'm like, it seems like we have similar hair. Let me get this. I just lived in her world and it just hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, this is not about me and him. This is about me and her. She's looking at me. I'm looking at her. And there's just so much to say about how we fall in love these days and the emotional tour you can take yourself on of someone else's past and how things that are not real online create your real life. And I liken the movie to a First Wives Club where it has the shape of a rom-com, but it's really about women and women being friends. And so that really spoke to me.
Yes. I remember dating this guy in New York and feeling intense jealousy over someone that he had dated way before me that he wasn't with anymore. Yeah. And I was like, why? Why? But and also anger at him.
Yes.
That he had been with her.
How dare he? Of course. This is so fucking relatable. And also it's always about us.
Yeah.
Always about us. It's so funny because I was really why would I do this? I consider myself a feminist and this feels so anti-woman. I don't want this inside me. And I was in therapy trying to figure out why this would make me so mad. And then I found my journal from my very first relationship when I was a teenager. And my very first boyfriend ever had cheated on me. And in my journal, I was like, always be looking, always be on the hunt. You just never know. And like little teenage me has like always been inside my heart being like, watch out, bitch, something's coming for you. Yeah. And until I like went back and was like, okay, like you can calm the fuck down now. Because we can't always be on the lookout for something bad that's happening to us based on a previous fear that's not present in our current relationship. And like, because I mean, no matter what, even if I was dating a guy who I thought fucking sucked and wished would stop calling me, I'd be like, who's his ex-girlfriend? What's that like?
Yeah.
You know?
Totally. You just wrote a book, right?
I did. Yeah. I just turned in the first draft. So it's not done. We now enter long rewrites.
But congratulations.
Thank you.
And when does that come out?
I think it's going to come out winter next year or fall next year. It's hard. It's a hard process. And like, you just have to do so much therapy to even get to good writing. It's a lot.
Yeah. That's awesome though. How has reading a ton of celebrity memoirs on your podcast, how did that affect your writing of well, I guess yours is essays, right?
Yeah, mine's definitely not a like front to back memoir, and also it'll, kind of more like comedy girl memoir. Oh my gosh, my celebrity memoirs have influenced the education of my writing to a detrimental degree. But I do have a lot of really strong opinions on memoir, I guess, because it is my favorite genre. And, even I feel like at the first page of a memoir, I know what kind of book it is and if it's going to be good, because that's how much like the first page tells you. And so when I go to write my own first page, just crippling pressure, because I know what it means when I read it. And like, oh gosh, as I've been doing this process, I read Jeanette McCurdy's book, and it's just one of the best memoirs ever written.
I need to read it. I have not read it yet. Read or listen to it. It's really, really good. But when you are in the middle of writing your own manuscript and you read that, you're sort of like, should I throw this in the trash? Have I been writing a book? I don't think I have, because this is a book. So it's also really hard to take in so many people's amazing stories, but without changing your own style and what you want to say. Right. Right.
But yeah, I just love memoirs so much.
What makes hers so good?
Well, one, her life story, even if we were just telling life stories around a campfire, like hers is going to the top. It's just bonkers, bananas, insane, really heartbreaking amounts of trauma and child abuse. And then next to that shouldn't be discredited in any way, is that she's a phenomenal writer. She's a phenomenal writer. And I think of all the memoirs, often memoirs will do this thing where they write in first person about something that happened when they were very young. But then they end up writing like the most unbelievable child character. They're kind of using like their adult wisdom gets filtered into I'm 8 years old and it just doesn't hit. Work. And she captured what it is like to be a child living through these events so beautifully. And there's moments of dark humor and honesty and insight. And it's just so incredibly well written. And I think to see someone like not only come through trauma like that, but then turn around and make that kind of art is just like, I just feel like it like brings you to your knees.
Wow. Okay. I really do need to read this book. Yeah, I mean, I keep hearing, I'll look at Amazon and then it's not available for a while. And then I think of my stack of books that I have been meaning to read for a while, and then I put it off. But no, it sounds like I need to make this happen. Yeah.
It is worth it. That one is worth it. Gabrielle Union's first memoir, another one that's incredible. Demi Moore's memoir. I'll give you a little list.
Okay. I know Jessica Simpson's memoir. I know you're a big fan
so
of.
Good. Yeah. So good. Mariah Carey's. Yeah.
Did you ever read Tina Youther's memoir?
No.
Wait, was it a memoir or was it advice for girls? I think it was advice for girls, because I remember there was like a little section in there about like telling you how to like wash yourself and wear deodorant and stuff. So I think I had that one.
Always love some good advice.
Yeah. It was like a Q&A advice for girls, Tina Youther's. And then also, and I know that you talked about this, Drew Barrymore's book. Was hers Little Girl Lost?
Yeah, she has two.
Yeah.
So Little Girl Lost was written when she was 13 and in rehab. It's a crazy, crazy book that's out of print. And then her second one, Wildflower, was written as an adult.
Right. Because I read the first one. And I know you were saying that was like her mom kind of wrote that, right? With some guy, with your nemesis.
It's a ghostwriter who's kind of writing her mom's accounts.
Oh, right. It was both of them.
The
yes. Now I remember.
Yeah. And then Drew supposedly is the other.
She said. Okay. So I am on Patreon and I have some questions that listeners sent in that I would like to ask you. So I'm on Patreon. Patreon.com/Alison Rosen is where you go. All sorts of rewards and bonus content and stuff. You can get bonus episodes of my Patreon podcast, The Friend Zone. There's a level where you can text me and I'll text you back. Live streams. You can submit questions for my guests. You can submit carbohydrates that I will call you on the Thursday show. Shout outs. All sorts of fun stuff. Subscribe for a year. Get 2 months free. Check it out at patreon.com/Alison Rosen. Okay.
Questions from our fans.
Karen Quinn says, where is her favorite place to vacation and why?
Oh, Karen Quinn. I talk about being a workhorse, not great at vacationing. But I really love I love lakes and cabins and kind of anywhere that is. And I also love to not be flying. So anything that's like driving distance from wherever I am in such location, I'm there. I also love going back to Santa Fe, which is now a little bit of a vacation for me because I don't live there anymore. And I love the Catskills.
Are you afraid to fly or do you just find it to be a royal pain in the butt?
I have intense anxiety that for some reason flying will just kind of pop it up. And so, so I don't like to fly. But that being said, I mean, I was a touring comedian. We had to fly all the fucking time.
Right.
So I can definitely fly. I'm just not, if I could choose, I'd give a hearty no thanks.
It's not fun. It's not fun.
Enjoyable. No.
Have you ever flown private?
No, and I never would because in so many memoirs, like Reba McEntire's memoir has an entire section about a private plane killing her entire band.
Oh, geez.
I just can't. Everyone's like, private. I'm like, never in my life. You will never see me get on a helicopter or a private plane.
Yeah, I won't get on a helicopter. Maybe I should add private.
No.
I'm going to add private. Oh, can I give up my dream of flying private? Because I've held on to that dream for a while of like being that echelon of special human.
Never let someone with anxiety ruin your dream. You get on that private plane, Alison, and you send me photos from it.
No, but I'm also the kind of person that like I need to be the most anxious in the room. That makes me feel less anxious. So if someone has, if someone's more cautious than me, that makes me go, oh, I'm not being cautious enough.
I'm missing something. Yeah. I'm afraid for your listeners hearing this and like, no, fly private. I hear it's amazing. Don't listen to me.
But you're right. It's the small, you know what? It's not really something I need to worry about. It hasn't come up yet. So if it's offered to me, I'll think about it then. Okay. Ariana Biskey says, ooh, exciting. That's ooh, exciting that you're going to be on the show. I have two completely unrelated questions. What are the absolute juiciest celebrity memoirs she's read? That's the first question. And how has she developed into such a confident person? I really admire that about her.
Oh my gosh, this was the nicest question. Juiciest. Okay, it depends on how you define juice, but like a lot of weird celebrity sightings in and out of a book. Rosie Perez has a whole section on J-Lo. Demi Moore, you get a bunch of like great Ashton tea, which is like so fun. Let me turn and look at my big stack of books.
I mean, Pamela DeBar.
Oh yeah. I mean, but then there's other books like they're not dishing tea, but they're so juicy. You know what I mean? Like I would reread Gabrielle Union's like constantly. Drew Barrymore's first memoir. She's talking about Emilio Estevez, Rob Lowe. Oh, Melissa Gilbert's book. She was in Little House on the Prairie. She has tons of celebrity tea, and so does Tori Spelling.
Okay,
Tori Spelling has like 5 books.
Oh yes, I have Tori Spelling storytelling, and I do love the wordplay. Have you read Alison Angram's book?
No.
She played Nellie Olson on Little House on the Prairie.
Maybe I have.
It's been.
Did she become a Fox News reporter?
No. Oh,
that's a different one.
I don't think
She was also on Little House on the Prairie, and I
Really?
read that book. Yeah. But it must have been a different.
Wait, maybe. Oh my God. Did she?
No, I don't remember the name Alison. I feel like I would have remembered this. No, it's a different Melissa, I think.
Okay. That one's been recommended to me and I'm forgetting the name of it, but, wait, I've lost my train of thought, but anyway, okay. Those all sound great. And then how have you developed into such a confident person? That is a good question.
That is so nice. And it's so nice to hear that. And, the truthful answer is that I felt very humiliated as a child in different ways. And once you kind of go to the depths of that bottom, you sort of realize that like nothing's real and nothing's to stop you because you've already felt the worst, like what could come now. And it's really made me quite fearless. And as I stepped more into, I've already felt that bad before. So I'm not going to be afraid to do this other thing because I know what it feels like to feel bad and I made it through. And once I gave more into that side of myself, it became a very joyful thing to realize that. And when I was 21, I blackmailed myself with a tattoo. I was really afraid of everything. I was so afraid to try and be an artist. And I just felt so much fear around everything. And I put this tattoo on my foot. That's kind of, it symbolizes walking through the fear. And I really thought like, well, if I tattoo it on myself, surely I'll have to do it because this is going to be on me forever. And every time I've sort of like been lost and, or like really lost my way, whether it's like something small or something big, I'll inevitably catch sight of my own foot and I will be like, that's the answer. Like you just have to try and you just have to go. And then so many beautiful blessings have come from that it kind of encourages you to keep going. So I would say I started very small at first, you just do something really small, but then like something positive happens. And then it's just like sort of like evidence that maybe you can like continue on.
What is the symbol?
I had the words walk through the fear, twisted around to just resemble a pattern because I didn't want to like put words on my foot, but so it just kind of looks like a little pattern on my foot. And also the tattoo artist was wasted. And I said to myself, if this isn't walking through the fear, I don't know what the fuck is. And so I got a very painful tattoo by a very drunk man in New Mexico. And I've never regretted it.
I don't have any tattoos. And just lately, I've been really, really wanting to get one, but I don't know what. But I also feel like that is like, it feels very, and this shouldn't matter, but I don't know. I feel like I'm like, it feels very cliche to just be like, I'm a mom with 2 kids and I've decided I have to get a tattoo because of the pandemic or something.
I think that's so silly. And you know what's going to happen? You just have to tell I'm sorry, this is the woo side of me from New Mexico speaking. You just have to tell the universe, like, I am ready for my tattoo. Show me what it is.
Oh, that's good.
And something beautiful is going to come into your life that you need.
In the same way that I manifested the mosquito problem right out of my life. I need to, show me the tattoo that I should get. Yeah, I know. It shouldn't matter that it's cliche, but I do feel like moms getting tattoos is a thing, but also who cares? But I feel like all of a sudden, like in the past, I've always been very precious about it and like, oh, it's my one body and it's my one life and I can't, by the way, like I hate it. Sorry, I know this is triggering language, but like I hate my body. So why do I care so much? Like I have a very like not healthy relationship with my body. So I don't know why I'm like treating it like a pristine thing or something. But I think I've like, all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, if I want to like get a tattoo, why not?
Well, and also tattoos, that's on the premise that a tattoo is something disgusting you're doing to yourself. What if
maybe that is
like very beautiful you're doing? And if your body is your one true treasure that we must worship our temple, well, you should put some kick-ass drawings on it. Yeah. I always look at tattoos as like something that I'm missing and I need to add it to myself spiritually. So I'm going to tattoo it on because it's something I'm like missing in my heart. And also like if you hate something about yourself, maybe put something beautiful on it. See if it can make you love it. Also, don't get a tattoo unless you're totally ready. You'll have so much regret and fear and pain. It's the worst feeling in the world. Buyer's remorse on a tattoo, you can't have it. You have to know in your heart, like, I am ready. Nothing can stop me from this tattoo.
Do you have buyer's remorse about any of them?
I've had buyer's remorse before about a tattoo, and then it's gone away. But I've definitely had the feeling about it. Yeah, of course.
A friend of mine got like a big one on her back that had a like big initial of her dad had died, and she got like her dad's big initial. But anyway, I forget the specific reasons why but she said that the second the tattoo artist was done, she regretted it. Like she just did the whole thing, and it's big.
I mean, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's really tough, and you never want to feel that. I mean, I think I had the regret because I couldn't remember if I had meant to put it on. I have 2 tattoos on my hands, and I couldn't remember if I was supposed to put it on a different finger. I was like, wait, is that the finger I meant to put this on? So then I spiraled until I realized it was.
What are they?
One is a little bird that is a little drawing from a book that I had put in my journal when I was a kid, and it's sort of symbolized me coming to a place where I could, talk about myself and my story and not, have a panic attack the whole time. And then the other one is a little protective symbol also that I had written in my journal.
Did those hurt?
Yeah. Yeah, they sure did. Fingers are fucking hard, man.
Yeah.
And, but nothing has ever hurt as much as my foot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What area hurt least?
What area hurt least? The back of my forearm. Is that what this is called? The opposite of the inside of my forearm on the back right here, this little house.
Okay. Got it. Leanne Ward says, I don't have a question, but I just wanted to say that I enjoyed the episode of Celebrity Book Club that that's me, were a guest on so much that I subscribed to Chelsea's podcast, and I'm really enjoying it. I knew Elvis wasn't the best guy, but I was pretty surprised by how absolutely messed up he really was.
Oh, well, thank you for subscribing. That means a lot. And yeah, I was also surprised at how messed up Elvis was. I didn't see that coming either.
Whitney C says, if she were a lipstick color, what would it be?
Ooh, bold bitch red.
All right. Do you have a just me or everyone?
Is it just me or everyone?
Okay. This will go along with my short film, the short film basic discussion.
Perfect.
When I go to someone's Twitter and I really want to know who they are, whether it's like a stranger or someone, I'm looking up like an old friend or something. The first thing I do is look at all the tweets they liked before I even read their own tweets. Because I feel like that tells you who someone really is. Is that just me or do other people do that too?
That is not just you. I have sort of forgotten it. Like every now and again, I'll remember to do that, but it's not the first thing I do. But I really think I should. I used to really curate my likes. I used to be like
what you were liking.
Yeah. I used to be like, I was very judicious with what I would like. And I would go back and look at my own likes to, have a laugh because it was really a collection of like stuff that I really liked. Whereas now it's like, I just hand that out. It's really just a way of saying like, I see that. Like, I mean, it's such I like so much stuff. It's really like, I don't even know. I mean, I guess someone could tell something about me.
Of course you could be like,
you see what I'm seeing.
Alison takes in all this stuff. Like she enjoys it. She likes to give people appreciation.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's illuminating no matter what you're liking.
I think I am gonna be looking more at what other people are liking.
I mean, I don't think it's healthy. I don't think anyone should do it. I was just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think.
But
it's
a good idea. It's a good idea. And then, do you have hey, go fuck yourself?
Just so many. You know what I mean? Just so many. How am I going to choose? Let's roll it back. Let's roll it back and start with Tommy Mottola, who, it's been a long time since I've told him to go fuck himself. Mm-hmm. And so I just want to do it again. He was Mariah Carey's manager, her husband when she was 18. He was also Jessica Simpson's manager. He gave them insane eating disorders, was very abusive, and then made all the rest of us gals grow up with women who were like stick thin, and then we had to hate ourselves. And it all goes back to Tommy Mottola. So Tommy Mottola can definitely go fuck himself. Hey, Jeanette McCurdy's mom.
Hey, go fuck yourself.
And all of the dads in all the memoirs who told their daughters that they were fat or ugly in some way and gave them crippling life problems, they can go fuck themselves, which reminds me to tell my own dad to go fuck himself, who's not actually my dad. So my real dad, he can also go fuck himself. And anyone who is so crippled in their own insecurity and jealousy that they're cruel to others instead of just going and working on themselves, y'all can go fuck yourself too.
Hey, go fuck yourself.
That was so good. Oh my God. That was like...
This is all the hate built up in my heart.
But I mean, that was truly the like multiple orgasm version of Hey, go fuck yourself. Because oftentimes people just do one and you were on a roll.
I didn't know if we were, I mean, listen, do you have another hour? Like, let's just sit here and roll through them.
Let's just change the show from Alison Rosen is Your New Best Friend to just Hey, go fuck yourself with Alison and Chelsea.
I think that's a spinoff that needs to happen.
Oh my God, that was so good. And I agree with all of that. It was so nice having you on the show, Chelsea. Thank you so much. Tell everyone where they can find you, what they do, all your plugs, please.
Okay, well, thank you so much for having me. And you can follow me at Chelsea Devantez on Instagram and Twitter. As we discussed, I post a lot of things. And my podcast, Celebrity Book Club with Chelsea Devantez. We have all kinds of stuff like Facebook, Patreon, but see if you like it first. So just go listen to the podcast first and see if you like it. Alison's episode's a great place to start. And you were so good on it. And just thank you so much for reaching out and for having me.
Sure. Thank you. You guys, if you like what you're hearing, or even if you don't, please make sure you're subscribed. Tell a friend. Leave us a nice comment. It does help out the show. I know everyone's always saying, leave us a nice comment on Apple Podcasts, but it's because it's important. So please make sure to leave a nice comment, click 5 stars, and follow me on social media at Alison Rosen on Twitter and Instagram. I'm also on Cameo. And also, I should have mentioned it earlier, you can watch this whole thing. You can see Chelsea's beautiful hair and my sort of okay hair. YouTube.com/Alison Rosen is where you can subscribe there. To subscribe everywhere. Just find both of us and find the subscribe button and just click it. Do that. And what am I forgetting? Am I forgetting anything? I feel like I am. You know, I've been doing this show for 45 years, and every single time I feel like there's things I'm forgetting. Listen to my other podcasts. I already mentioned this. Chelsea, it was so nice having you on the show. Thank you again. Listeners, thank you for listening. I love you. You matter. Goodbye.
Hey, do you know about the Alison Rosen Show?